Consciousness only does one thing. It perceives. And through perception and knowing the truth, it acts or takes form. As such, meditation is simply the act of perceiving, but not just any kind of perception. It is perception that is mindful and willful, with the consciousness fully activated, cognizant, and self-aware. Anything mindful means that it is done with self-awareness. Anything willful means that it is done with willpower, the power of the conscience. Willpower is also the ability to concentrate. If we want to overcome suffering, we need to perceive life objectively, beyond the filters of our conditioned, opinionated, subconscious mind. It is through understanding that we break down the conditioning of the ego, and thus heal from the limitations that were holding us back. When we practice shamatha, we are both training concentration and developing the ability to resist sensations, both external and internal. This is calm abiding with concentration and a withdrawal from the senses. The first stage of meditation is the means to stabilize the body and mind so we can withdraw from the senses and focus. All impressions, physical sensations, emotions, thoughts, pictures, memories, and so on should simply be observed and recognized with indifference. Conscious perception does not judge, label, compare, or have any preference toward phenomena. We should not crave nor avoid the impressions that come our way. Pure consciousness is always in a natural state of effortless meditation. Thus, there is no need to exert force and fight with the emotions and thoughts in our practice. There are only two primary types of meditation taught in most traditions. The student either has the choice to investigate a specific subject or situation, or to meditate in the present moment and receive whatever arises. In the latter method, insights that have been deemed important or appropriate by your higher self, your conscience, will be provided. There's also more focus on experiencing deeper and deeper states of consciousness by continually cutting through illusory impressions. The former method is analytical meditation, because the student has to analyze and learn about a specific subject. The latter method is an all-inclusive, or non-exclusive, type of meditation. But in both types, all the various states of consciousness, such as vipassana, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, can still be experienced. Although simple, non-exclusive meditation is the highest level meditation practice in Buddhism, because it demands a great ability to self-remember. The traditional name for it is Mahamudra. Maha means great, and mudra means symbol or gesture. So the term most commonly translates as Great Seal. If we refer to the Tree of Life from the Jewish mysticism of Kabbalah, we can more clearly see the obstacles that typically stop us. We have the physical world and body, symbolized by the sphere Malkut, which means kingdom in Hebrew. And just above that sphere is Yesod, which means foundation. This is the etheric plane and etheric body, or vital body. If our asana, or posture, is good, and we've been conserving our energy, then this won't be much of a problem, as we will be sitting in a comfortable but attentive position. Make sure you don't eat too much right before attempting to meditate, otherwise you'll just be bloated and uncomfortable. Food is harder to digest when the body is drowsy or sleeping. Other physical sensations that can potentially distract us include itches, or muscle and joint pain, or ambient sounds coming from other rooms of the house or apartment. The next sphere on the tree of life is Hod, which refers to our emotions. Hod is also known as the astral plane, the world of dreams. If our emotions are too strong, we're really craving something, we're thirsty, we're impatient, we're angry, we're anxious and worried about something, we can't meditate. Samael Aounwaoa explained that anger has a great ability to disrupt the etheric body, the energetic body we have that supports the physical body. The ether is the fuel we use to perceive with intuition. So if we want to see the truth, we must keep our mind serene and our emotions under control. Netzach is the next sphere on the tree of life, and it is associated with the intellect, our thoughts and imagination. If our mind is wandering here and there with thoughts, if we're thinking and trying to problem solve, if we're labeling, or if we have a lot of things on our mind and things to take care of at home, we are not meditating. This is not what is meant by contemplation when the term is mentioned in a meditation instruction. If you're an insomniac, you're familiar with that buzz of activity in your mind from all those ideas and fantasies that keep your brain alert. Thoughts keep our brain waves vibrating at a high rate, and that is why we have trouble falling asleep. Drowsiness and sleep is a result of brain waves that have been slowed down from a relaxed body and inactive mind. The only thing we need to keep active and alert during meditation is our perception and self-awareness, and these have little to do with our thoughts. Although a timer is useful for concentration practices so that we can measure how long we are able to hold our attention for, it is not recommended for meditation. It is better to not have anything planned immediately after your meditation sessions. Otherwise, you will just be checking the clock constantly, and this will keep you from relaxing. Meditation happens as a result of following the 8 limbs of yoga explained in the previous lesson. We can start with the 3rd limb or step, asana, and then as an optional preliminary exercise, perform pranayama for 5 to 10 minutes or longer so that we've gathered vital energy and relaxed more deeply. It is recommended in schools to practice pranayama breathing exercises daily. I recommend starting with at least 10 minutes a day. Once we've found a relaxed posture, and we've established pratyahara or shamatha, calm abiding and concentration, we can begin the meditation. If you've chosen analytical meditation, then let yourself become drowsy. Close or lower your eyelids, and place your concentration on the subject or problem in mind, and simply watch. At first, you are using your active imagination to project an image of your subject, situation, or concept. Similar to taking action or initiative, projecting an image is a masculine activity that is necessary for specifying intent. Later on in the meditation, there will come a point where the mind has slowed down in vibration, enough so that it is able to receive intuition, whose energy is feminine. If you've chosen non-exclusive meditation, Mahamudra meditation, then do the same thing, but instead of specifying a subject, become fully aware of the present moment, and simply watch. You may choose at first to place your attention on your breath at the tip of your nose, just to help you stay focused as you withdraw into the mind. As with any exercise, maintain mindfulness, self-awareness. For both types of meditation, continue to recognize but ignore the useless, everyday sensations and thoughts that regularly distract you on a daily basis. Don't worry about all the times you get distracted. It will happen very frequently for a while, but as long as you draw back your awareness and attention each time, you are having a good meditation. If you remain comfortable and focused in this stage of calm abiding, after a few minutes or so, you will begin to shift deeper into your conscience, and you will experience new sensations. Only these ones will be different. These sensations will be coming from the internal worlds. All sensations are received as impressions in the mind. At this level, our mind has started to produce hypnagogic imagery, which, as explained earlier, is the power of intuition expressing itself and communicating with us. This is the beginning of real meditation. This is where we can finally begin to unravel our problems and understand the truth behind them. It is crucial that you pay very close attention to any new impressions that arise from meditation imagery, as they can be very subtle at first, when we are just starting to become sleepy and our level of drowsiness is shallow. The language of intuition is expressed in many different ways. It can emerge as symbolic dream imagery, a telepathic thought, a familiar and clear voice in the head, and sometimes dream text, letters, or notes. This is because consciousness is intelligent, spontaneous, animated, unpredictable, and resonant. So our intuition tends to resonate and mimic our surrounding environment and the people we interact with regularly. Our individual Divine Mother intuition also communicates with us at a personal level. So she will sometimes use certain phrases or words that carry a special meaning for you, but don't apply the same way to others. For example, you may have always found the number 7 to be a lucky number, and through the law of attraction, you were able to manifest that number everywhere you went. Especially during the times you really wanted your luck to work in your favor. Since you chose to assign the qualities of luck and abundance to the number 7, your intuition recognized this and helped out by providing all sorts of peculiar synchronicities. Now, since the human mind in this age is almost entirely subconscious, most of the dream imagery we see when we are merely sleeping and dreaming are just mechanical, repetitive, mental forms originating from our unconsciousness, the ego. This is also the case in part because our consciousness is in a passive state when we are dreaming, as opposed to meditating. So to be able to distinguish between silly, meaningless dreams and profound meditative insights is a matter of learning the language of dreams. With analytical meditation, as soon as you receive the first flash, blink, or flare of insight, you may already have the solution to your problem. Insights are communicated efficiently in short, simple sentences, or instant thoughts or images. With Mahamudra meditation, the first few insights you receive will generally be updates that resonate with your daily life. You might receive a friendly greeting, followed by a suggestion for your routine. But with practice, as you persist beyond the insights of the vipassana state, you will eventually find yourself ascending higher into the planes of existence. Starting with the astral, perhaps experiencing the fourth dimension in the etheric or vital plane, the biblical Eden, then experiencing the various jhanas or levels of dhyana, and finally, into the bliss of nirvana when you reach samadhi. Students of meditation should always think for themselves and question the validity of what they experience, in case they have misinterpreted their insights or had mistaken them for everyday mechanical dreams. But with that being said, you must devote yourself and live by the comprehensions and guidance that you know and trust are coming from the truth, from Tara, your intuition, or from your own being. The reason this is important is because if you don't show through your actions and lifestyle that you are committed to the truth and your comprehensions, then you don't fully comprehend them, and thus you will not be provided further insights on that same problem you've been struggling with. For example, if you've received an insight about pride in meditation, and you were assured that letting go was the right thing to do, then it wouldn't make sense to remain stubborn, struggle with letting go, keep your pride, and then persist to beg in meditation for Tara to destroy it so you can be free. Since you don't fully understand what it means to let go in this example, she will not be allowed or able to eliminate that level of pride. Comprehension changes a person fundamentally and is never forgotten throughout the lifetimes of evolution. When understanding is deep enough, the unconsciousness breaks down and free consciousness is liberated. When you comprehend a defect, it shows in your actions and your thoughts. You see the defect for what it is. You know the consequences. You no longer want to entertain it, so you stop. In the previous lesson, it was explained that enlightenment emerges out of understanding, both during meditation and outside of it. Always pray for comprehension, as well as the elimination of the ego. Egos, defects, or samskaras show up in dreams and take many forms. Many egos look more or less like everyday people or creatures, but they can also have very strange, mutated, or even demonic appearances. Their behavior is unconscious, mechanical, automatic, repetitive, either predictable or erratic, perverted, aggressive, and mostly without virtue. The characteristics of our defects directly reflect the qualities of our subconscious mind. This is the state of today's humanity: aggressive, perverted, lustful, addicted, repetitive, and without virtue. Even without Dharma, some egos die on their own when we understand things objectively as we progress through life. But if we train ourselves to pay attention to our dreams and remember them upon waking up, we will be able to recognize when we've just witnessed a scene in which an ego or group of egos has died. When we've successfully eliminated a defect, our intuition will show us the execution through dream symbolism. Defects tend to die in a similar way that people and animals die, through illness, purging, poisoning, the draining of toxins, injuries, car and bicycle accidents or sport accidents, explosions, and many other symbolic ways. Another way you can tell that you've eliminated an ego is when you find that your everyday dream scene suddenly shifts, the insight plays through, it lasts for a few seconds, sometimes it's dramatic or graphic, and then everything fades out and you wake up. I understand now that when we sleep, our guides provide us informative insights right before we wake up so that we can remember them better. To have deep comprehensions, clear conscience of the defect that we want to extirpate is fundamental, but it is not enough. The elimination of the defect is necessary, and this is only possible with the help of the Kundalini, our vital energy. The mind cannot fundamentally alter anything. What the mind does is label things, hide defects, pass them on to other levels, etc. To eliminate errors is another thing, and without Devi Kundalini, the magic serpent of our magical powers, this would be absolutely impossible. The meditation on each error was enough for comprehension, although I could clearly see that there are many degrees and degrees in relation with understanding. There's a great deal of elasticity and ductility in relation with comprehension. Many times we believe we have integrally comprehended a defect of a psychological type, but only we come to discover that really, we did not comprehend it. Elimination is another thing. Anyone can comprehend a given defect, yet in spite of this, cannot achieve its extirpation. If we exclude the Divine Mother Kundalini, then the work becomes incomplete. Without her, it is impossible to eliminate defects. Frankly, I converted myself into an enemy of myself. Thus, I resolved to equilibrate comprehension and elimination. Each comprehended defect was eliminated with the power of the Divine Mother Kundalini. Finally, one given day, I was inspecting my work in the Tartarus, in the Averno, within the submerged mineral kingdom, in those infra-dimensional regions, or submerged parallel universes. Navigating upon the waters of the Anchoron, inside the boat of Charon, I arrived to the other shore in order to inspect the work. Then I saw thousands of devil eyes, my own aggregates, parts of myself that were living in those regions. I wanted to resuscitate something, an effigy that symbolized my own sinning Adam, who was lying down as a cadaver within my muddy waters of the river. Then my divine mother, dressed with clothes of mourning as a Mater Dolorosa, told me with her voice filled with infinite love, "This one is already quite dead. I have nothing more to take from him." Certainly, my mother had extracted from me the region of devil eyes, all of the conjunction of tenebrous entities that personify our defects and that constitute the ego. Thus, this is how I achieved the dissolution of the pluralized I. This is how I attained the reduction into dust, all of those aggregates which form the myself. Samael Aunwaor, the Gnostic magic of the runes, the Divine Mother Kundalini. The ability to maintain mindfulness, or self-awareness, and the ability to hold a single point of concentration for as long as we want is necessary for effective meditation. Without these skills, our meditation practice will be inefficient, time-consuming, and a struggle, full of distractions and irregular shifts between alertness and useless dreaming. You will sit there for an hour just trying to get yourself comfortable and drowsy. You will become impatient. Your thoughts will keep you distracted and awake. And then when you finally do shift into a hypnagogic state, you will be so sleepy that your concentration will weaken and drift away from your chosen meditation subject. So remember the fifth aspect of niyama, Ishvara Pranidhana, self-observation. It is the step that trains us to maintain a continuity of unbroken self-awareness. It is the only step that must be practiced continuously, all day and all night, from moment to moment, in everything we do. Students of spiritual schools are taught to preserve their mind as a temple. They understand that attention is closely related to the senses, so they do not let impure impressions come into their mind, and as such, they do not become persuaded, distracted, or hypnotized. The senses distract us and disturb peace of mind, so simplify your life. Renounce useless activities. Use your time wisely, and be careful with whom you spend it with. Eat and drink with self-awareness. Try not to lose yourself when you're in conversation with someone, when you're talking face-to-face with someone. Maintain awareness, instead of getting completely caught up in the conversation, in your imagination, or the person's story. Only pay attention to the task at hand, and perform tasks one at a time. Multitasking is a sign of psychological sleep or attention deficit, not alertness. On top of regular mindfulness, many schools also require their students to practice concentration exercises such as shamatha meditation, breath awareness meditation, or mantras. These exercises sharpen the ability to sustain single-pointed concentration. This is the step in which it is okay to use a timer to determine the session length and measure your ability. Every day, set aside 10 minutes or so, and simply focus your attention on a single subject. You can use a candle, your breath, your heartbeat, the pulse on your fingertips, a symbol of divinity such as a painting or statue, or your imagination. 20 to 30 minutes per day is very good. Students who are very keen on developing concentration practice between 1 and 4 hours. However, I only recommend this amount of practice as a temporary regimen if you want to bring your concentration up to a certain level. If you have the longing to attain self-realization, you will need to save enough time in your day for deep meditation. The Lama Samael affirmed that a serious Gnostic or spiritual person should meditate between 4 and 6 hours a day. So that alone trains concentration. When your body is rightly posed and your consciousness absorbed in deep meditation, you may feel that thought and mind both disappear. Yet, this is but the surface experience of dhyana. By constant practice and mindfulness thereon, one feels radiant self-awareness shining like a brilliant lamp. It is pure and bright as a flower. It is like the feeling of staring into the vast and empty sky. The awareness of voidness is limpid and transparent but vivid. This non-thought, this radiant and transparent experience, is but the feeling of dhyana. With this good foundation, one should further pray to the three precious ones, the three logoi of Gnosticism, the Holy Trinity in esoteric Christianity, the Trikaya in Buddhism, and penetrate into reality by deep thinking and contemplation. He can thus tie the non-ego wisdom with the beneficial life rope of deep dhyana, with the power of kindness and compassion and the altruistic vow of bodhicitta. He can see direct and clear the truth of the enlightened path, of which nothing can be seen, yet all is clearly visioned. He sees how wrong were the fears and hopes of his own mind. Without arrival, he reaches the place of Buddha. Without seeing, he visions the Dharmakaya. Without effort, he does all things naturally. Milarepa.